I just have always wondered if it's really about that, like him wanting to show us the entire creative process, or that he just has so many other things going on, things that he's distracted by like fashion, all the other things he's working on, but he still feels like he wants to put out music, that he just can't give it his full energy. Because it's weird, like trying to line up this current version of Kanye creating music with then watching the Genius trilogy. It's really just hard to reconcile that with giving us all these incomplete projects over and over again.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have locked into Rap Life Review. I'm your host, Ebro. Join me, Low Key, and Nadeska as we get into the Rap Life playlist, the hottest records out right now, the new albums, the business, and the culture of hip-hop. No topic is off limits. It's Rap Life Review. A Snoop Dogg in a lawsuit with the Uber Eats man, or somebody with Uber Eats, or yeah, man, he went in on a driver on Uber Eats, and now the man is suing, saying he's afraid for his life.
Like, was it a threat?
I feel bad for this man.
Yeah, was it a threat
no, it
that
got
Snoop
real.
imposed on him, or was it just like?
Well, he put out his first name and his license plate on social media, and I think that is what, there's a term for that. When you do that to somebody on social, like you give out their personal information, it's called doxing. Okay. It's called doxing. When you give out somebody's personal, and I think you can get booted off social media anyway for that. But yeah, this driver says, after I seen the video, I have anxiety and I fear for my family's safety.
Yeah, what I understand about the story is that Snoop ordered delivery, the driver showed up, and he waited whatever Uber's custom is. I think he said it was 8 minutes, and after that point, you're allowed to cancel the order. Just like when you order a ride, if they have to wait too long, they're allowed to leave or charge you more, whatever it is. But it seems like that upset Snoop, and it spiraled into this whole thing. I would say, obviously, Snoop has a big following. For a normal person, this must be terrifying to have your personal info put out like that. We know how people are on the internet. It's not nice. Like, an Uber driver is clearly not making enough money to be dealing with this kind of stress over like a canceled delivery. Well, so I think this is unfortunate.
I understand the driver's perspective, but I was in Chicago like 2 weeks ago, and I was in a hotel and we ordered Harold's Chicken. So Harold's Chicken is not anywhere but Chicago, and I think maybe Atlanta. So it's not here in New York. So I ordered it, and in the hotel they can't bring it up to the room. They have to leave it in the lobby. So when I went down, on the app, it said food's delivered. They asked you like how was the service, it said a third. So I went to the lobby, food wasn't there. So I'm calling Uber, and like they're not responding. So I called Harold's. I'm like, yo, did you guys send out this, this person for my order? They were like, yeah, but sometimes the drivers take the food and just disappear. I'm like, excuse? Like, no, that's what they said to me. They like out the lady's mouth. She was like, sometimes they take the food and they just go about their business. And because I'm in a hotel, I can't really see who's who or what's what. And I'm asking.
Yeah, you can't.
I can't do. So like, I was like furious.
Oh, they had a good meal that night.
$45 worth of chicken.
Well, Lo, I gotta say, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was about to go there where I was like, look, I feel bad for this man, but I understand.
All right, you're all just
because
really, both of you would, man.
No, Snoop should not have done what he did. That is it is very, you should not put this man's, because like you pointed out, Nadeska, he should feel it. People are crazy, man. They have his address and his license plate number.
That's wild.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's wild. Yeah. You don't want that. Something crazy could happen. But I understand.
Like, after going through what I went through, I get it.
We got to talk new music, man. That Conway the Machine album, I spent some time with that. Conway put together a great body of work. Not only beat selection, but songs, man. The songs, the perspective, talking about the damage done to his face and how he feels about that. Looking in the mirror and crying and wondering if would he be somebody that gets their face painted on the side of buildings and things like that if he hadn't gone through what he went through with being shot in his head and the paralysis of his face. Talking about, losing friends and family, and just really digging into some real mental health on this album, man. And I think, I'm glad we live in a time where mental health is a popular conversation, and people could hopefully listen to these albums from individuals that come from literally the bottom, some of the worst circumstances in our society, and can write about them and tell the story, because there's other people living in these circumstances that cannot, right? Like they don't have these musical abilities. And so the Conway the Machine album, God Don't Make Mistakes, is an ill take on like, yo, I've been through some but I'm still here to talk about it because God doesn't make mistakes, right? I hope you take some time for that. The EARTHGANG album, I don't know if you guys got time for that, but they're musically just incredible. And I feel like they delivered once again. I don't know if either of you got to that. And the Kodak Black album, somebody that doesn't like me at all, but I musically respect, right? Like he gets to some things once again. I don't think he deals with his demons well at all, right? I think he comes from a very damaged place. But when you listen to the music, you hear someone acknowledging their issues.
It was more reflective than I expected.
You hear someone,
even things to him talking about losing Best New Artist to Khalid and how he felt when he was locked away and people are laughing at him and not taking him seriously. I think the front Kodak has always put up. I just never even thought that all this stuff really bothered him or got under his skin. But it's nice to hear this side of him on the project.
No, and I was literally about to, to piggyback off that point. I look at certain things on social media and I look at certain videos and I look at his personality just when it's presented to us. And I'm not the biggest Kodak fan, but it kind of turns me off. So when I hear, not just from YouTube, but when I hear different perspectives about his music, about how he talks and how he channels certain things, it makes me wonder, like, damn, like, well, why you can't present that on the forefront to bring people in like me that may not be the biggest fan. At my age, I want to be pulled in by personality and be able to relate to you. I'm 39 years old. Obviously, he's younger, but there's still ways to connect both of us. But when I see things on social media and I read things, I'm just like, nah, maybe I'm making the right decision by keeping him away. But hearing these perspectives, maybe there is something that we can relate to. Maybe there is something that I can connect to him to. And maybe there is something that will pull me in and make me a fan.
Well, I think it's amazing that you pointed that out. I think we should always try to remind ourselves that the male social programming and the male ego is why someone doesn't present these things in the forefront. You only hear it in the music. It's because they're comfortable in the recording, right? They're comfortable hiding within the beat and within the melody. They're comfortable hiding, behind the mystique of a song and, these things. But when it comes to having a conversation about it, that they can't do that, which takes us to Kanye West. Because Kanye is somebody that when he talks outside or does an action outside of music, we're all like, yo, what the you doing, bro? But within the musical construct, we'll be like, yo, that was fire. Crazy. The rhymes is crazy. This was crazy. That was crazy. I mean, hell, the man told us, wait till I get my money right. You know what I'm saying? Can't tell me nothing. He told you what it was going to be, and it is what he said it was going to be. And now, Donda 2, 16 songs from his new album. And if you buy the stem player, and then go to the website and download, and then you could get it. We predicted that people would be creating streams and making this available. It did happen. Did you spend time with Donda 2?
I spent a little time with Donda 2. I think the same thing would happen with Donda 1. I think it's a lot of incomplete thoughts. It's a lot of incomplete structure. It's a lot of incomplete. And Rosenberg said the same thing. It's like, these are demos. These are things that that could be great, but aren't finished. And I don't know why he has that impulse to just like release things that aren't finished. It's a lot of mumbling. It's a lot of auto-tune. It's a lot of this, that, and the third. But I see it. I see it. I see where it could be. I see what it should be. But it's just not complete. The collaborations are complete.
Most of my disdain for Kanye comes around his political antics, not around his artistic, experiential, visual, any of that. Like, I never felt any type of way, about music he was trying to make. Like, it was always, I always either liked it or didn't like it, or tried to understand where it was trying to go. Because I know Kanye is the type that is trying to constantly be the change in some way. He is constantly trying to bridge a gap. And I enjoy that when we're talking about art, not when we're talking about politics and people, you know what I mean? And real life and death scenarios for people. But if we put it through that lens of what he's attempting to do, which is show people something that is a work in progress, continue to show people how he got from point A to point B to point Z on something, many people won't like it, right? Because many people, when they show up to consume your product, whether it's clothes or food or music, they're like, yo, give me the finished product, let me love it or not, so I can go on about my life. But there are the super fans, hyper stans, creative types, you know, all of those people who are probably thanking Kanye for creating a space or creating an expectation where this sort of thing can happen in front of people. Is that making sense what I'm saying?
A lot.
Because if you're a creative person and you create content for a living, I think one of the biggest fears is, and one of the biggest challenges is knowing when it's done, right? Like, is this done and ready to be given to people to judge? And Kanye, what I interpret what's happening is Kanye saying, as big as I am, I'm not afraid to be in front of people and not be finished.
I still look at the music as something that has just trailed off. For me, from the content of what he's given us, like the first 4 or 5 albums, it's just literally night and day for me. I think after maybe Yeezus, like that was kind of like my trail off, you know. I just didn't relate to it. I didn't understand it. And maybe it's not for me to understand. So there's still disdain with him aside from the politics, because the music was always the thing that connected me and him.
Ibra, I understand exactly what you said. I think it definitely makes sense. Like, there's some super fans who would love it, and I considered myself a super fan of Kanye. But like Lo was saying, around the point of Yeezus, where we started hearing that he had so much going on, that he had a release date for this album and the project wasn't complete when he brought in people to help him finish it up. I just have always wondered if it's really about that, like him wanting to show us the entire creative process, or that he just has so many other things going on, things that he's distracted by like fashion, all the other things he's working on, but he still feels like he wants to put out music, that he just can't give it his full energy. Because it's weird, like, trying to line up this current version of Kanye creating music with then watching the Genius trilogy, especially that second episode where we're going through College Dropout and how hard he had to work to get that release date, and stealing studio time, trying to grab 10 minutes with Luda and running up on people in the parking lot just to like really put the finishing touches on. It's really just hard to reconcile that with giving us all these incomplete projects over and over again.
I think it's all a part of a live art installation, a live, we're watching like this, and it may not be conscious. It may not be a thought. He might just be like, what is finished? I'm going to just put it out. I want to talk about the Megan Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez situation before we get to the pundits and their commentary on Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez's social media. The reason why is because I am really perplexed at why people are picking sides. If we go back to when this first happened, we heard Megan Thee Stallion was injured. We heard a gun was found. We heard a gun went off. We heard a gun charge happened to Tory Lanez. That's what we knew. We heard that bullet fragments were in Megan Thee Stallion's foot, but we were like, yo, did Tory shoot Megan? Like, remember the whole thing? Like, there was some time people didn't know. Some time went on. Megan Thee Stallion seemed to get frustrated with, I guess, Tory's team and people trying to, like, come for her or whatever. She went on social media and was like, basically, Tory Lanez shot me. There was all this speculation of her dating Tory, Tory dating her friend. Her and her friend don't follow each other on Instagram. They fell out, blah, blah, blah. Tory puts out an album. Many people thought that was a tacky move. You put out an album talking about your feelings for Megan Thee Stallion and, you know, what went on that night, but you're not really being specific, et cetera, et cetera. There's been kind of people, including myself, I was very public, like, yo, I told Tory via text, I was like, bro, I don't like how you're moving. I can't with you, right? Like, this isn't, you're moving funny. Like, why would someone get injured? A woman was injured in and around you, and you put out an album? Like, I don't see that as like album, like material. Like, you would try to like exploit that scenario. Right? Like, and so then we start hearing all of the stuff about it. I know that a woman was injured and a gun was found. I know that reports came out that she had gun fragments in her foot. She said that. She had bullet fragments in her foot. She said that she didn't want to implicate Tory Lanez, but she felt like she had to because people was coming for her. Fast forward to now, the case is actually taking place. There's no public allowed in the case. Like, they're not televising the whole and you have academics basically reporting on what's going on with the case and getting it wrong and basically trying to come for Megan Thee Stallion. And I don't know why you would come for Megan Thee Stallion at this point, I guess is what I don't understand.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. He's not a prosecutor. He's not an attorney. He's not a judge, and he's not a part of the jury. I don't know what information people have, but from my knowledge, this information is not public. There aren't public people in the courtroom. I don't know. It's just a lot of things that I'm seeing on social media from people that I'm like, how would you know?
Because, so to be clear, there was supposed to be a pre-trial hearing, right? And it got entirely postponed, but the lawyers were still in court talking to the judge. Is that what happened? Because there were two other reporters, I think, from Rolling Stone. Okay.
And Tory's lawyer said that they were going to do some DNA, something or other.
Yeah.
And that it looked really good for them. Okay. I mean, it's Tory's lawyer, so if he's going to say anything, he's going to continue to position it as if they're happy about the outcome. But I still want to go back to, is the disdain for Megan Thee Stallion based in the fact that she has implicated and said that this person purposefully tried to harm me?
I mean, I guess, I don't know, maybe because Tory is giving pushback, maybe Tory is positioning himself as public enemy number one. None of us were in that car. There were 4 people in that car. Meg, Tory, the best friend, the driver, and the security guard. 5 people. We don't know what's happening,
But we do know that one person.
Do know one person was.
We know
injured.
that one person was but was very specific. The person who got the gun charge has not been specific and has been trying to exploit the moment through their music,
which is a hard. I mean, we've talked about this before on this show. I felt like that was a horrible decision. I felt like that was tasteless. I felt like that was vain of him. I felt like that was just and that was your friend, or that was someone that you dealt with, and you still spun it to make it look like you're public enemy number one, she's lying, this, that, and the third. And it's like you've turned a lot of people on her in an event where she went through something traumatic.
Right. And that just continued to get worse. That was the root of it.
Yeah, and you continue to pile on. You continue to do these things and say these things. And now you're putting people...
was even showing up to events. Was even showing up to events and jumping out on stage.
Listen, Ebro, it's not fun being a black woman on the internet, an extremely famous black woman like Megan Thee Stallion on the internet. I mean, I think you guys just outlined everything. You summed it up really well. As soon as Tory basically started ducking and dodging and then pointing fingers and trying to spin it like she could be lying, way before this trial even happened, there are always going to be those fans that are going to, A, believe the male, and 2, just want to just continue spinning this story because they feel like Megan's trying to take Tory down and ruin his career. It's like those kind of narratives, you can't really shake it. So now we're at a point where, unfortunately, even before the trial is really kicking off, this is happening again. And for Megan, I understand it's hard for her to not step in and respond, but it seemed like when she does, it gets worse. Like the story gets bigger and bigger. You know what I mean? I would love if the trial could just get underway and we could find out really what happened based on facts and evidence, because it's been 2 years now of this sort of gossip and hearsay and back and forth, and it's awful. And I can't imagine how she feels that it's been dragged out this long.
Now, I also want to add in for Joe Budden. I don't know why now is the time where Joe Budden wants to go in on this Megan Thee Stallion's not a superstar debate, which was peculiarly timed for me. Now, he might have just got baited into it, But there's been this whole thing about Joe Budden going, Megan Thee Stallion's not a superstar.
Well, okay. Well, hold on. I don't want to put all that on him because we've been dragged into that debate, me, Kaz, and Rosie. So I'm not going to put that all on the timing of it. Maybe,
but that's what I'm saying. The timing of it, I'm saying points to individuals because she's a hot topic right now. Well, that it starts to look like a pile on.
But I'm okay, and I get it. But we were having this conversation before the Tory Meg thing got reignited. You know, Punch from TDE was asking who are the post superstars after Kendrick, Drake, and J. Cole. And that conversation has been brewing over the last 2 weeks. And like I remember I got into the conversation with a couple of my friends and we mentioned female artists. We mentioned Cardi, Nicki, Doja, Megan, we mentioned all those artists. And so that conversation has been dragging for a minute. And we even had a conversation with me, Kaz, and Rosie on our podcast about what makes a superstar, who is a superstar, who's not. I think to your point, the timing of it makes it seem like it is a pile on. So I don't want to say it is because this conversation has been brewing for a minute. So I think Joe just jumped in on it and maybe made his claim of why she's not, but I don't think it's because of what's going on with the case and everything like that. So I don't think it's a pile on. I just think it's a coincidence, a very specific coincidence.
Good clarity. That's good. It's good clarity because it definitely seems like men are piling on Megan Thee Stallion at a time when she needs support. And it also seems to me, right, people want to, for some reason right now, after the woman was in Super Bowl commercials, won Grammys, has songs with Beyonce, done all these amazing things and contributing to hip hop in a great way.
And graduated college.
Now, there's all these lines being drawn.
Right.
So what that says to me is if you're negating her impact, but you're talking about her, clearly she deserves to be in the conversation. Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B with that WAP were household names.
I've made this point before. Megan makes men very uncomfortable. Megan, as a black female that's very successful and is very unapologetic about who she is and where she's from and what she represents, makes men very uncomfortable. And that's just the lay of the land. Like I can repeat this till I'm blue in the face. When a black woman stands in front of you and says, this is who I am and this is who I'll be, I don't care how you accept me or deny me, I'm not leaving and I'm going to make this very uncomfortable for you to watch my success. That's what Megan has been. That's what she represents. That's what Cardi has been. That's what Nicki has been. Foxy, Kim, Eve, all of these black and brown women have made things very uncomfortable for men where we have to just continuously try to just push and push and push and push to the point where it's like, nah, y'all. Right or wrong.
It's interesting to hear you articulate that, Lo, because you could like name them. It's like a few of them compared to so many male rappers. It's weird that it's still a threat. That's what's still hard to understand. Like, what is it exactly? Is she taking something away from everybody else's success? I don't see it. It's very, very,
we can
very
and it's like we can coexist. Like we could coexist and we can still build
because you know what another piece of it is too is men have this problem where if you are a woman and you've created your lane without their cosign, you've created your lane and your brand or whatever it is you're doing and entered the game without a man giving you the stamp. I've seen it before. Think about the female rappers you love in the game, right? Mm-hmm. There's been a man
standing
that was there to stamp them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which makes other men comfortable. When women show up and they don't need no man, men get offended.
Like it's like the social structure. Like you get like
it's in the programming. It's what a patriarchal society is. It's what that is where men feel that they are entitled to say yay or nay to a woman's existence.
Yeah.
In whatever
atmosphere,
it is.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's good to be a female in hip hop.
To that point, Nadeska, man, you still here riding on doing what you do. I don't know how you do it.
Thank you, Lo. I've just had my moments where I've completely checked out. You guys know my past life. It's like that was one of the best, worst experiences of my career. That's when you realize like the depths of hatred that men on the internet have for you for no reason. It's the craziest thing I've ever experienced. That's why I say like I cannot imagine what Megan is going through, because like the feelings are like so deep, like the things people will go out of their way to say to you. When I think sometimes I'm a generally non-offensive person, you know, there's some like deep-seated issues in there. Like Ibro could do a whole psychological read on those comments. So that unfortunately is what it is. It's not going away anytime soon. You know what most of the time it's tied to? You know what most of the time it's tied to? What?
It's tied to that first time these little boys had to ask a girl to the dance.
And that's the rap life review.
For the Desk and Low, I'm Ebro, man. We'll be back next week, man. And thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe right below on the YouTube. Make sure you add the Rap Life playlist so when it updates, you get everything that's popping in hip hop. Love y'all. See you next week.